Okay, I wanted to make a very short video called Ways Lifeboat is fucked up to women or effed up to women. Okay, here's one. If you want pads, you have to go to Ozark, Iraq for him to unlock a pad from his locked up menstruation pad collection. I found this out when I installed boxes of tampons in the unisex restrooms. And then Erin starts telling me this. She's sitting next to Ozark, and then he starts all smirking, like, "Yeah, you can come and tell me when you're menstruating, and then I can unlock you a pad if you prefer that instead of a tampon." And okay, bullying a woman based on her weight. Oh no, no sugary snacks for you. That'll make your diabetes worse or your overweight worse. So that happened to a real woman, and that's a woman he kicked out for her disabilities. Number three, making you go to unisex restrooms with men who have sexually assaulted you and or punched you and or sexually harassed you. Really? Like unisex restrooms? What's up with that? Um, Number four, oh yeah, supporting sexual assault perpetrators in restraining order hearings as if the weight of the authority of Lifeboat, the nonprofit, is going to improve the chances of the sexual assault perpetrators who assault their clients. Not sticking up for their clients or the general principle of not assaulting or harassing women. Um, oh, what's another thing? Oh, you report assault or sexual harassment, you get kicked out. Um, that was about what I had to say. So, in that sexual harassment, including from the director Ozark Iraq, when he's asking women to suck his blue balls. And so basically, where I'm at with this right now is the bully report will come out. I basically found out some kind of good news over the weekend that the investigator for the Bureau of Labor Industries investigation into gender discrimination and disability discrimination at Lifeboat, basically the sole monopolistic, cutthroat homeless service in Astoria. Oh, and here's another dark dealing is that I entrusted Teresa Barnes of the Astoria Warming Center with a list of people who reported Ozark, Iraq for sexual harassment and sexual innuendo. That should have stayed confidential for their protection. Ozark submitted it to the police. That means he either gained control of the Astoria Warming Center email, hacked the Astoria Warming Center email, and or Teresa Barnes betrayed their confidentiality to Ozark, who then betrayed their confidentiality to the police and the district attorney. So either way you dice it, that is so super, super not cool. And those people that confirmed his abusiveness, which I thought it was critical for the warming center to know to protect their clients from him, um, that she would betray their confidentiality over to Ozark when he has a distinct pattern of harassment and retaliation. That's very, very dicey, but it also does show that the numbers don't lie. There are so many numerous witnesses. And the fact that Ozark is silly enough to think submitting a list of witnesses against him to the DA is actually going to make the case better for him is ridiculous. But, oh, what else? So, I had a flashback to when Adam Eastman was in a wheelchair and used to have to loiter outside the lifeboat getting dirty looks from Ozark. And I would get dirty looks for talking to him. And Ozark had this thing where he wouldn't give any meal to Adam, and then Adam got hit by a car and needed a wheelchair. Um, and wheelchairs can't go down that staircase, y'all. There's no disability friendly service for the homeless here in Astoria, and there's all this hostility towards women, women with diabetes, women with mobility problems. And, like, for instance, here's another thing. I reported a woman saying she wanted a knife to stab herself in the throat. She was highly verbally indicating suicidal intent on the street outside Lifeboat. Her little boyfriend had been beating her up and like beating up people at the park. Why would I be kicked out for reporting that? Or I reported the guy with the Hitler mustache doing Nazi salutes. I reported people using the N word. Why would I be kicked out for reporting them using the N word? Why would I be kicked out for reporting a female friend of mine being assaulted? Why should a woman who's gang raped have to go eat a meal with a man who gang raped her? There are multiple women I know who've been assaulted by several lifeboat guys. Well, a friend of mine was saying, well, if Ozark, with his criminal background and having been to prison and everything, is really good with the drug dealing, violent criminal crowd, and maybe that's his target audience anyway, why should he be claiming to serve everybody when he's really targeting them and that's who he's good at serving? Why can't he at least be honest about the fact that he doesn't want non-drug users, and he doesn't want women, and he doesn't want women who report assault? He wants violent male drug dealers and sex offenders and perpetrators. And say, for instance, we find out Galen Zach Mickelson has sexually abused a 14-year-old. I know of two other convicted sex offenders for underage offenses who were going there besides Zach, and then numerous unprosecuted, non-convicted sexual assailants going to lifeboat. How do you think that makes women feel going to a unisex bathroom with stalls that don't even lock, with sex offenders who punch them and call them atrocious names to their face? So I caught the prosecutor submitting falsified evidence, and unfortunately, it looks like Ozark, Iraq has induced Aaron Carlson to lying to the courts or falsifying records that would end up with the courts. So she falsified a record saying I was high or out of my mind the day I wrote my whistleblowing letter, or sent my whistleblowing letter May 19th, 2022. She had written me back in that email chain a completely contradictory email saying I'm welcome anytime and she appreciates my passion, and if I don't want to go when Quentin isn't there because Quentin likes to assault people, that we could stagger my attendance around the violent abuser who's always welcome. But then she backdates a document, which I could never get Kirk Wintermute to come forward with. I was like, give me some documents. Show me something. Don't just, you won't even tell me who your board members are, and you're saying, oh yeah, the board has decided. Well, no, Ozark told you a bunch of lies, and then you believe them. And here's the other thing. Kirk Wintermute either needs to resign from the lifeboat board or resign from being a judge, or both. Because this corruption where Ozark's trying to manipulate his control over the judiciary as if, oh, I can do no wrong because I have a judge on my board. And if the judge believes anything I say, then therefore that is the true reality. That is such a conflict of interest and so corrupt, and it is so poisonous to any respectability within the judiciary that the judiciary might have or might hopefully try to have, that I hope Kirk can see that now, if he can't see that yet. Maybe he will see that in the future. And then the fact that there's so much criminal activity associated with lifeboat just isn't a good look for the judiciary. And then anytime, say for instance, the lifeboat guy who puts his hand around my throat, who never gets prosecuted for non-consensual, creepy, coercive, violent male aggression conduct on me, he gets lifeboat supporting him in a protective order hearing. And then he gets immunity from prosecution because Kirk Wintermute is a judge. And that's so prestigious. Is that really? So I was checking on, I'm just still amused, but when a prosecutor finds out there's exculpatory evidence, it needs to be submitted immediately. For instance, Ozark's criminal record or his pattern of harassment and retaliation is all exculpatory. That should have been submitted. So when I'm catching this falsified document, like a backdated write-up, I'm saying I don't want Aaron Carlson to be prosecuted for lying to the cops or falsifying evidence to the police and the courts. It's perjury and it's concerning. It's, a crime, but that's not the point to me. I think she's under Ozark's thumb, and that's pretty creepy that he's got her stooping that low, because she stooped pretty damn low for him lately, betraying all her clients and allowing him to perpetrate his abusiveness on so many people. But good things are coming. They Project Turnkey is not using Lifeboat for their meals. They did not get the $100,000 contract. It went to the jail food catering company, Summit, which at least they can do vegetarian, and one would presume non-harassment and non-discrimination. And why would a sex offender monkey Robert Vandervelde, who beat up the transgendered veteran or does sex in the bathroom while he's injecting people with meth, why would he be working for Lifeboat? Oh, because that makes Ozark look good? Or because he has a pattern of trying to beat up the clients already? Or because he has a prior drug relate? Or because he's a part of any current drug trafficking operation? Which is what some people think. But anyway, he jumped into the KGW article last March trying to act like he's going to be personally the sex offender delivering meals to the domestic violence victims at Project Turnkey. And thankfully, Jerome is like over at CCA is writing these like exceptional like non-harassment, non-tolerance of bullying or any kind of aggression, blah blah blah. Straight up like what it should be. And so in some ways I hope that the recording of Ozark threatening to do like a malicious fake prosecution against me for crimes I never committed is helping to alert people to his abusiveness to harbor clients and domestic violence victims who are seeking services and put a spotlight on how he discriminates against people. So I do think that's just another like gravy train they missed due to their incompetence, corruption, and lack of transparency. Oh, and word, they're supposedly giving themselves salary boosts. Pass that along. Lifeboat Ozark is now at 65K a year, and Erin boosted her salary to 65K a year. 2 years ago, he was at 23K a year, and for some reason, the money that should be feeding the low-income people and buying them clothing, housing, tents, sleeping bags, etc., is going into his pocket. So if anybody else finds that fishy or embezzly or fraudstery, especially given the cutthroat tactics they're willing to use, even so to go so far as to launch false malicious prosecutions against whistleblowers and basically taint the reputation of a judge by dragging him into their misconduct, it's pretty gruesome. But get in there and get a plate of food if you can. But at your own risk, caveat emptor.